Without water there is no life. Water is a precious and indispensable resource to all human activities. Changing the quality of water is harming the life of humans and other living creatures depending on it. Water is common patrimony whose value should be acknowledged by all. Each one of us has the duty to save and use water cautiously. In this short film, I am going to explain how the Portuguese island of Madeira is currently fulfilling the European Charter of Water and how I feel that we can learn from their water management techniques to make the future of water in the UK a brighter one. The island is made up of extreme contrasts. The north is mountainous, steep and wet, while the south, where most people live, is slightly less steep, sunny and ideal for growing crops. Therefore, I am going to look at how water has impacted the island in recent years, as well as how they deal with the extremes of water that the island receives, specifically natural disasters and irrigation. On the 20th of February 2010, the island of Madeira experienced the most extreme weather it has seen since the 19th century. In just 5 hours, between 104 and 165 millimetres of rain fell on the island. This was double the normal average monthly level. This extreme rain caused flooding and mudslides along the southern coast, resulting in extreme destruction. This included the airport having to close, several bridges were destroyed, and cars were washed away in the fast-moving floodwater. Although the flooding and landslides in Madeira were primarily caused by unusual heavy rain, the impact this weather has had on the island was accentuated by how humans have inhabited the land. As humans, we have covered large areas of land in hard materials to create roads and buildings. These do not allow water through into the soil and instead channel it into drains and water channels, which could not cope with the unusual volume of water. By channeling streams and rivers through towns instead of allowing them to slowly meander down hills, meant the excess rainwater also followed this route. We have also built close to these rivers and streams in areas that would naturally be the floodplain for when these extreme weather events occur, leading to damage to the bridges and hindering human activities. We have also cut down and burnt large areas of forest that would have originally stabilised slopes and absorbed large amounts of water from the land. Previous to these floods, the island was hit by extreme weather that resulted in landslides and erosion of the steep slopes in the 19th century. Following this, the government decided that urgent stabilisation of the steep slopes of the mountainous centre of the island was needed. The impact of these events has since shaped the vegetation of the island, as this was done using non-native trees and shrubs, especially eucalyptus and mimosa, that will grow quickly on steep slopes, creating a mesh of roots that stabilise huge areas of land in a very short time. But these trees are also invasive and have taken over from the natural vegetation. The north and mountainous centre of Madeira has an abundance of water through regular rain, springs, waterfalls and streams, but the sunnier, more inhabitable south is a lot drier. Back in the 15th century, when the island was first colonised, the inhabitants saw the potential to farm the land if they could only transport the abundant water from the north to the south, where it was warmer and better to grow crops. The levadas are stone channels 50 centimetres wide and 50 centimetres deep that follow the contours of the mountains at a very shallow gradient to slowly channel and transport water from the mountain streams down to the populated agricultural south. The levadas were originally built purely for irrigation, having been built by local tradesmen. In some places where the slopes were extremely steep, the levadas were built by men suspended down the mountainsides on cables, and in other places tunnels were cut through the mountainsides to allow the levada to pass through. They were, and still, are maintained by levada keepers who are responsible for certain areas of the system and who make sure the channels are kept clear. Therefore, when they were built, pathways were built along the edges to allow access. Now, the levada system is maintained by the government and it still provides water to local people for agriculture. The water is provided when requested to fields at a cost of €1.5 an hour of water. This is controlled by the levada keeper, who opens sluice gates between the main levada and fields, allowing the water to run into the channels provided by the farmer between his crops. The Levada system is now also used as a tourist attraction, with thousands of tourists exploring the Levada pathways every year, which are ideal for hiking and walking due to their gentle inclines. A modern approach to using the Levada water that has been developed in the last few years is for hydroelectricity. This utilises the water collected in traditional levadas, and then the water is channeled quickly down steep slopes in pipes to power stations. After use for energy, the water can be channeled back to the fields for irrigation. Levadas are a perfect example of how intervention of man can be harmonised with nature without causing damage to the ecosystems, while still providing the water that we need so much for life. Overall, I feel the future of water is going to be one linked to extreme contrasts in the UK. Summers will be dry and winters wet. Therefore, we need to develop methods of utilising what we have to its full potential through storage and transportation in as natural a method as possible without impacting our natural landscape. We need to learn from other countries and design our landscapes to ensure we use water carefully and that we manage this marvellous natural resource to prevent flooding and drought situations.